talking about animation. I hope you saw the last part of the show. Fascinating stuff. All of that, Ed, was cell animation.
Not necessarily, no. Matter of fact, only the Vanity Spot was cell animation.
What was the other?
Or some of the Hasbro toys animation. But the newer stuff I'm doing now is computer-assisted animation. Whereas I just take it to the drawing stage. If you can recall, a cell is this piece of acetate.
Right.
We have now skipped this whole process. We go right from the drawing, video capture the drawings into a paint box. And now
what
we
do you
have
mean into a paint box?
There is a computer paint box that works on desk.
I have a computer at home.
Right.
Could I do that kind of work?
You need a paint box.
A paint box.
A paint box.
I have a paint box I take from my grandkids.
Colors and renders.
If you could, what kind of a paint box? What do you mean a paint box?
It's called a paint box, but it's a computer contraption.
All right, that puts the color in automatically?
They can put color in, they can have thousands of different colors. So whereas years ago, or even now, to do cell animation, you'd have to ink all the drawings on acetate, then somebody has to laboriously spend weeks painting in all that stuff.
But that's what you do,
they don't do it now.
Isn't it?
No, I draw.
You draw?
I draw and I choreograph, and I dance and I sing and I talk, and I'm the actor. I do the hundreds of drawings that makes it move, but how it becomes color is the question of cells. You either paint it on a cell or you color it in the computer.
The way you personally are doing it now, the majority of your work is what?
Is now computer-assisted traditional animation.
And is that what the industry is going to?
The industry is going to that, plus it's also going into computer animation, where I understand that the first full-length computer-animated feature is being worked on at Disney's, should be ready in about 2 years.
Can they do cartoons with computers?
They can do cartoons, however, they have a very different look. They look like they're plastic, because they're three-dimensional. They have highlights and shadows, and they look like they're made out of plastic.
But didn't you say you could take that manatee and feed that into the computer?
That's computer-assisted animation, but there's also something called computer animation, that nobody ever draws a drawing. They create it in the computer.
In order to get motion, in order to get animation, each movement is a different cell, or a different frame.
Yeah, every drawing is 1/30th of a second.
1/30th of a second.
Right.
So you need 30 drawings per second in order to get a motion of any kind.
In video.
Now, what do you mean in video?
Well, in film, it's 24 frames a second.
Oh, okay. I'm glad you told me that.
A little different, right.
But the fact is that you can now take, as I understand it, any kind of a character. You can create a character.
Right.
You can feed it into your computer, or a computer that is made for this kind of work.
Yes.
You feed it into that kind of a computer.
Right.
And that is your character.
Right.
And that character can be very funny.
Right. And you have to act through your character and dance and sing and do all those things.
And through the computer, in order to draw 30 frames, it would take you roughly how long? In order to get a motion, a 1 second motion, 30 frames.
It could take you at least a good part of a day.
To draw.
A full day to do a second.
To do a second.
To do 1 second.
That's to draw it and paint it and everything.
Right. Sometimes you can do 2-3 seconds a day, depending on how many characters.
With a computer, how long will it take?
It takes longer.
Why?
Because they have to construct the character inside the computer in 3 dimensions.
Then why are they using computers?
It's a totally different look. It looks 3-dimensional, has shadows, it looks more solid. Cartoon cell animation looks like drawings moving. 3D animation has a more solid image.
They're using that a great deal now for advertising, in advertising.
Well, case in point, if you look at Beauty and the Beast, if anybody happens to see it, the animation is cartoon cell animation. But in the ballroom scene, the movement around that ballroom was like a real camera traveling around a cartoon character. So you're getting the best of both worlds. You're getting a computer moving on the background, which creates the illusion of a live-action camera that we could never do when we were 2-dimensional. The computer adds 3 dimension to animation.
There are a lot of things going on now in commercials.
Yes.
Where we have a person, like I'm sitting here, and all of a sudden a little character walks up to me and kisses me on the nose.
That's called rotoscoping.
Now, what is that?
Rotoscoping.
And how is that done?
Okay, rotoscoping is where you shoot the live action first, and then every one of those frames of the live action is turned into a photograph with pegs that the animator now has to register to. So in order for a cartoon to shake your hand, I have to have a picture of you, the live action, on my animation table, and every time you move, my cartoon has to move and touch you. It has to be done with very, very precision work. That's done. Roger Rabbit is the best example of integrated animation and live, as well as Paula Abdul's MTV piece, Opposites Attract, where she actually dances with a cat that's animated.
Are they using combinations, Ed, of animation and cell work?
Animation, cell, and computer, it's really mixed media today. We're at a point now where computer animation, cell animation, rotoscoping is all really combined into making one great audiovisual piece.
With the advancement of computers, do you think that that represents a danger to the individual animator, the person who works cells?
It's only dangerous to the point when it becomes a new toy. All the agencies, really advertising agencies, say, hey, let's do some computer animation. But as we are now growing out of this initial danger where let's do computer animation rather than cartoon animation, we're seeing a better integration of the two of them. And I think what cartoon animation can do is we can still animate and act drawings, where computers are no longer just drawings. They're, again, creating 3D objects.
Do they ever use computers for full-length movies?
They did something called Tron at one time. The trouble with computer animation is it doesn't have the warmth, this is my opinion, it does not have the warmth and lovable charm that cartoon cell animation has. So it's a case where technology is dazzling us with special effects, but we're losing that human touch that a cartoon cell animator really brings to cartoon animation.
We got to be talking about a lot of money. In other words, for a sponsor to use animation.
Yeah, I would say, yeah.
It has to be a big sponsor.
Well, there's all kinds of, I personally work as an individual here in Florida, have tailored my budgets to Floridian budgets, where not necessarily the same as national budgets. I would say you can average a commercial, we charge by the second.
Well, you have to, 30 frames.
So they take your whole day, right? Sure. So basically it's $500 a second is our low price. And then you can go as high as 1,000 a second, depending on whether 2 or 3 characters or how involved they get. Of course, there are national spots that are going for 2,000 and 3,000 a second. You can get into a Disney Beauty and the Beast that may run 5,000 a second.
Yeah, so these movies...
They run into millions. 20 million, I think, they spend on Beauty and the Beast.
Any idea how many frames went into that?
Not from the top of my head. Well, I can tell you that since there are 720 frames in a 1,440 frames in a minute. So you times that by 80 minutes.
120 hours, 120 minutes is, 28. We're talking about, I don't know, what, 1.4 million?
Could be, and then there are thousands of drawings and lots of artists.
Lots of artists.
It's bigger than both of us.
Ed, you work primarily on your own, right?
I work on my own, you're right. 30-second spots is my speed.
We're going to be right back with this wonderful guy, Ed Seeman, the animator. Stay with us. Using the manatees as you did,
right?
That appeals to everybody. And instead of just seeing manatees swimming, live manatees,
right?
To doing in a cartoon kind of a thing.
Yeah. Well,
how did you come up with that?
Well, basically, I felt that manatees are lovable. We all want to save them, and yet when you look at a manatee, it isn't as attractive as a cartoon would be.
And just pretty ugly.
And just as a mouse isn't as attractive as Mickey,
right.
I thought if we can get kids to love the manatee and reach their parents about safe boating practices, we'd have a real ace in the hole. So I thought, why not cartoon manatees, create some nice cartoon characters that are lovable, that can sing and talk and children can relate to, and that way hopefully use animation to actually not only save manatees, but all the endangered creatures that happen to be here in Florida. We happen to be in a great spot to turn animation into saving lives rather than selling cereal.
So do you hope to be doing more of that?
I hope to be doing more. Actually, this was sponsored by Florida Oceanographic Society, and at this point we're reaching out in the hopes of raising funds to attract other investors so that we can save lives of pelicans, sharks, dolphins, turtles, and all the other wonderful, lovable creatures in our area.
So Ed Seeman is more than a man who's just trying to make money, he's also a man with a heart.
At this stage in my life, I want to save lives.
Wonderful.
Thank you very much.
Really appreciate you being here. Great guy. Remember, please, be good to yourself, because you deserve it. And give a smile and a friendly word to someone else. Mwah. Love you. Keep watching The Al Green Show.